Sir Dan rises from his grave to save the world once again in this sequel to the beloved gothic action-adventure on the PS1. But does this deserve to be sent to the realm of forgotten sequels? Or does it need a remake? 500 years after Fortescue defeated Zarok, saving the fantasy land of Gallowmere and claiming his seat at the Hall of Heroes, a wealthy industrialist and sorcerer named Lord Palethorn has found Zarok's spellbook and unleashes a spell across all of Victorian London, raising the dead and as a result, scarring him into a hideous demon and waking our fabled hero, Sir Dan Fortescue. But instead of his crypt where Dan was laid to rest, he finds himself in a museum as part of their collection. It seems that Dan's still remembered fondly as the hero of Gallowmere, which is a nice touch. Your efforts in the first game haven't been forgotten. It feels like a true continuation of Dan's story, picking up right where you left off. Shortly after waking, you're greeted by some Cockney ghost that would be perfectly at home in a Charles Dickens novel. His name is Winston Chapelmount, a playful nod towards Winston Churchill, if I really had to explain that to you. Either way, he's the one that will introduce you to the new mechanics of the game and give not so subtle hints on how to progress in a level. And it is with this spry twat helping him that Dan marches forth and saves the museum from a horde of resurrected skeletal dinosaurs, including one massive fuck-off Triceratops, I think. Upon defeating this prehistoric cunt bubble, we are introduced to Professor Hamilton Kift and his secret lab. This is the main hub of the game where you can select levels and receive new weapons after collecting a golden chalice from each level. The lab is this game's replacement for the Hall of Heroes, which is something I'm not a huge fan of. I enjoyed meeting each of the heroes with their distinct personalities, whereas in the lab, it feels empty and devoid of character. No longer am I looking forward to hearing a back and forth between a wise hero and Dan. It no longer has a sense of humour to it. Compared to the first game, it no longer has a sense of fun or humour to it. Attempting jokes once you save Kia, but they just fall flat and feel pervy. Yes, this time round, Dan has a love interest, Kia, an ancient mummy who's thousands of years old, but she doesn't have much of a personality beyond being the girl, and then later becoming the damsel in distress, which drives much of the narrative in the later game. The lack of interest in characters really works against this game. But who cares about the story? What about the gameplay? There's not really much to say in terms of new mechanics. The platforming hasn't been improved, but there are tougher jumps which push the game all the way to its most challenging. But the jumping has had no refinement to justify their existence. The combat is basically the same. One addition is the ability to equip a second weapon and switch between them in real time. This is an absolute godsend. The amount of time the original game wasted just because I had to pause the menu, select a weapon, then unpause, and continue fighting just drags the pace down to a crawl. And overall, I never really minded the combat of the original. There wasn't much skill involved other than button mashing, but it was still fun. Long-range weapons have improved. It is now a lot easier for you to hit your intended targets. But speaking of difficulty, this game starts off at the same level of difficulty where the first game ended. It is so hard. You also have the new ability to remove your head and stick it on a roaming hand, which leads to some short stealth missions along the way. Supposedly this was intended for the first game, but they just had to cut it. Golden chalices are still the main collectible, which you get by killing a certain number of enemies and then searching the level to find it. And these chalices will unlock new weapons, and collecting them all will unlock the Gatling gun. But beware, if you get all the chalices, you will get the bad ending of the game for some reason. By not getting the final reward, the Gatling gun, you'll actually get the good ending, which is just super weird and it doesn't make sense. Despite me criticising this game, there's still one thing that I love. The thing that makes me want to play the Medieval games time and time again. The aesthetic. There's just something wonderful about the Terry Pratchett meets Tim Burton and Danny Elfman aesthetic. The addition of Victorian London also makes the game stand out from its predecessor and makes it truly unique. Each level has so much charm and well-designed enemies that bring this gothic time to life with humour and decorum. Would I recommend this game? Yes, but only if you're a fan of the original. Having been released only a few months before the launch of the PS2 couldn't have helped much. Why didn't this game get remastered along with the original? Ah, I see. Bearded ladies. That would have pissed someone off.